Um, could we kind of get into the law of origination of the
Yeah,
beginning?
yeah. So this is the one of the core meditations, you might say, the of Buddhism, a core teaching, where the Buddha talks about how things always come from a cause. Things always have a cause. And basically, a really surface level reading of it would just be to say, he says that cause and effect exists and is absolute. So everything has a cause. And then he talks about the cause of suffering. So he tells a story and connects it to a logical sequence in order to bring about the idea that um, suffering comes through birth into the human condition. And at its most basic level, it's part chain of logic, part story, and it's just the idea that everything has a cause, and therefore the suffering in our lives has a cause. And from the Buddhist point of view, the ultimate cause of suffering is being born into the human experience. So, in many ways, that alone could lead you down the sort of Benatar path. So there are ways that people look at this sort of stuff and um, uh, pull some modern nihilism and dark stuff out of it. But the it gets more interesting when you look at more than just one thing in isolation in Buddhism. So additionally, there's the teachings about the aggregate forms. And what this is another core Buddhist meditation that it teaches everything is an aggregate. All forms are aggregate, all physical things, I should say, are aggregate. And then all emotions, all mental perceptions, all spiritual states, whatever it is, these are all aggregates, which means they're composed of pieces, not unified wholes, and that our minds can detect these pieces and sort of split them up. And so, in a way, this complexifies everything in our lives. And this is part of seeing the no self idea from Buddhism. But what that does is when you sort of bring these together, is it makes the story, the law of dependent origination, a lot more complex. And what you start to see is, okay, there's this absolute cause and effect. Everything depends on a preceding cause to come into reality, but each cause is an aggregate of things that have their own causes. And so you start to see this not simple story of causation, but a very wide branching and interconnected idea of causation where everything depends for its origination, for its manifestation on eventually everything else, but on just this myriad of causes being present in order for it to appear.
And so that aggregate that you're describing is that interconnectivity, that causality. Is that correct? These things kind of these singular pieces connect to kind of create a uh, I guess a line of things, or as people would say, kind of as you describe in the book, linear causality.
Well, so the aggregate nature is about nothing being unitary. So
Okay.
like my body is not just obviously one unit. There's organs, there's different organs. All the organs are composed of different types of cells. My current mental state is not just one thing. It's composed of uh, things I'm hearing over there and trying to ignore, my consciousness of my voice in this room, the glare from the light, like these are all playing in and interchanging. And so the aggregate nature is about things being complex, things not being unitary. And then simultaneously with that is the idea that everything has a cause. And so causality runs through all this. And the idea when you bring them together is that you have this infinitely complex reality that is also infinitely causal, that everything has a cause. And that is a kind of wild conception.